Hi YouTube family, Paul here. Today I'm working on a 2008 Chevy Impala 3.5 liter. I have to do rear brake pads. It's got newer rear rotors on it that I had thrown on, drilled and slotted, power stops. The pads are in good shape on the rear. I had put new pads on when I put those rotors on, and I have newer rotors on the well, not as new as the rear ones, but fairly new front rotors, but the pads are low on the front. But while I was going to do the front pads, I figured it was time to drain my braking system. Let me show you where you can jack this car up. First of all, on the rear, there's like a rail on the body frame here. See that rail? I got my jack under there, and I got a jack stand there just in case the jack slips or the hydraulics fail in it. Never just trust a jack. When you're going to flush a brake system, you want to start flushing furthest from the master cylinder. So on a left-hand drive car, the master cylinder is always on the left side, so you would go for the right rear passenger side. Because I don't have anybody here to help me today, I was going to just gravity bleed it, drain it, but I started getting real bored quick. I used this little vacuum pump. I picked this up for like 50 something bucks on eBay. It's great for doing differentials. You could even do your oil if you want to do it that way through the dipstick, suck it out and change the filter if you don't want to be a nitpicker and get every drop out. But that vacuum pump comes in real handy. I think it's a 7-liter capacity. What I did is I sucked all the brake fluid out of my master cylinder and filled it up and started pumping it. I gave it about 15 pumps, and then I just left the bleeder open and let the gravity bleed it out, and I tapped on the caliper every once in a while to make sure there was no bubbles sticking to it, so they would come out, and I watched it until it started to drip with absolutely no air. So you can do this when you're by yourself without somebody to pump the brakes. You can use the vacuum bleeders, or you can gravity feed it, or you can have a helper step on the brakes, crack it when it hits the floor, close it, let it up, and repeat until you have no air in the line. All right, so I bled this one out now. I pumped it about 15 times to be sure I got all that old brake fluid out of there. You can see how that looks. It doesn't look too pretty. And now I'm gonna get ready to put this rear tire back on and do the front pads. I'm not tightening my lug nuts up that much. I'm just zipping them on real loose with an impact, but I will go around later and torque them all. I think the torque spec on this is 110 pounds. I like to go 100. I've never had a wheel come loose on me, but I recommend you follow the manufacturer's spec. Don't do what I do. I just do it. All right, I don't like my rotors to warp. Okay guys, I guess I'm gonna get this wheel on, get this car down, jack the front up, and we'll start doing the front pads. But I just wanted to give you a little information. Hopefully that will help you on how to bleed your brake system, even if you're by yourself. Okay guys, be careful not to spill that brake fluid on any plastic or painted surfaces. They don't take too kindly to that. And make sure you put your caps on right away after you're done, because this stuff is hydroscopic. I think it's hydroscopic, yeah. It absorbs water real quick. It'll absorb the moisture out of the air. That's why I'm bleeding it, because over time moisture gets in there, and this can actually corrode your brake lines from the inside out and give you air. Because of the moisture, there's some air, oxygen and gas in the water. When it gets hot, it turns to air bubbles, and you end up with air in your lines. Okay, I'll be back after I get this front tire off. I'm sorry, I get ahead of myself sometimes. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't know anything about brakes and auto mechanics, this right here, this usually has a plastic little rubber little cap on it. That's the bleeder. On this car, it's a 10 millimeter. If yours are corroded or frozen on, hit them with some penetrating oil. What I was gonna do was tap a 3/8 on there if I had to get that to open, but I did get it with a 10 millimeter socket. The 10 millimeter line wrench was going to round it out, but the 6-point socket worked. Try to use 6 points instead of 12. They're less likely to strip it out. and round out the bolt. Okay, if you just turn that out a little bit, a turn, that'll open it right up, and then when you tighten it back down, it seals it. Okay, sorry about that, I forgot. Get the front wheels pulled off. Let me show you where I jacked it. I jacked it in the middle on the aluminum subframe right there, that main piece of subframe going across. Then I have a jack stand on each side. If you just put it on one, it lets loose, it's going to tip and catch you. All right, to get the caliper off, you need a 13 mil. I use a tire as a seat. May as well get comfortable while you're doing this. There's two 13 millimeter bolts here. These are the caliper pins. They got to come out, and you're going to need something to secure your caliper. Okay, I'm actually going to start bleeding this before I take it apart, so I'll get back after I gravity bleed this out. I'll probably step on it about 10 times, then let it gravity bleed, get all the air out of it. Then I'll compress it and get my shoes off. Okay, show you how much that goes with gravity bleeding. Does a pretty good job. And you can tap the caliper, get the air out of there in case there's any air hanging up in there. Honey, don't go in that brake fluid. I stepped on it about 10 or 12 times, I think it was. That should be enough. The lines are getting shorter as you go. Again, that's a 10 millimeter. The bleeder on the front on this one is 10 mil. You don't have to go crazy when you tighten these up either, just snug them up. What I did is I hit mine with a PB Blaster penetrating oil right away. Let them soak as soon as I pull the wheels off. And I do have the little rubber cap. I'm just missing it on the one as far as I know. Don't overfill your brake reservoir, because when you're going to have to depress these pistons, and when you do, you're going to be pushing fluid back into the reservoir. That's why I'm bleeding them first. I'm going to go bleed the other side now, because I don't want to push that old fluid back up in with the new fluid that I have in the reservoir. So I'm going to run back over to the other side now. This is the passenger front, because it's further away from the master cylinder than the driver front. So I'm going to go do that one, give it about 5 or 10 pumps, gravity bleed it again, and then start pulling this caliper apart. Okay, now you're going to need a big screwdriver or something to get in here and just pry your caliper over. Pull it this way, it'll start to compress the pistons. Pull it out towards you, lean on the edge of the rotor, just catch it. Should be enough to get it off. I actually have a special tool for this, for compressing these. After you get it out, it'll push the pistons in. I'll show it to you. Sorry for the bad camera angles. I'm not wearing the headgear today because it seemed like I was missing too much stuff. I tried to do a video on diagnosing bad accessory pulleys, and I didn't get what I wanted to film. I got to remake that. All right, let me put you down. I depressed those pistons enough to where I have some play there. You see the caliper sliding around. Now I'm going to take these two pins out and take the caliper off. Have a bungee cord or some kind of hanger or S-loop or something so you can hang it up on the spring or somewhere where it's out of your way. You do not want to let the caliper hang on the brake lines. You will damage it. You will damage the hoses. Okay? People had put in the comments section they wanted more details, so I'll just film this as I go along. For those of you who know how to do this, I guess you don't really need to watch this video anyway, but for somebody who's not experienced with this, I'm hoping to bring up some helpful information. When you're taking these calipers off and putting them on, be careful of the rubber boots located over here. You do not want to damage them and rip them. Moisture will get into where the pins are, and your brakes will seize up, and they won't wear evenly. Usually only they get locked up, and usually only the side on where the piston is will wear down prematurely. Take these bolts off, throw them on the side. Caliper lifts right off. We're going to clean this up. We're going to put a little bit of grease on the face of the pistons. Make sure there's no air in the boots. Hang that up right there out of the way. Yeah, see, these shoes are nice and loose. They weren't bound up in here. Then you just take your shoes out. I still had a little more meat on this. I could have got away with running these a little bit longer, but what the hell. Beautiful weather out. Doesn't cost that much to throw on pads. Now make sure you have new hardware. Put new hardware in. Wire brush this up. I'm going to put brake lubricant. I'll show you what it is in a second. I'm going to go get it, and I'm going to go get the hardware and the pads. Guys, my new toy. This is a piston depressor. It's ratcheting. One way it expands, the other way it comes back in. Put that in caliper. I really don't need it on this, but I'm going to try it out. Got to push on it for it to ratchet. Oh, I went too far. See, I'll flip this around for you guys. Goes right into the caliper. Then you ratchet it. It depresses the pistons all the way. First the ratchet, comes right out. Pistons are all depressed. My boots look good. Sometimes you can get air under the boots. That's no good because it can pinch in between the piston and the shoe. So you just take a little pick tool or a very small screwdriver and get in there and try to lift the edge of the boot, and it will let the air out. You got to make sure these pins slide freely. Mine are lubricated and moving easily. Can you see where I'm going over here? These should move in and out freely. You can pop them right off. The little rubber boot comes off with them. Wire brush them if they're junked up and put brake lubricant in them. I use either silicone brake lubricant or this Permatex Ceramic Extreme brake parts lubricant. I kind of like this. Been using this lately. I saw somebody else using it, gave me the idea. I figured I'd try it out, and I like it. I'm not going to mention him because he didn't mention me, so maybe he'll put a plug in for my channel one day, and I'll do the same for him. Wouldn't that be nice? Get your hardware out. I'm going to get a screwdriver, scratch this up, make sure that actually these are real clean. I did lubricate them and I have no rust behind there. So I'm just going to put this brake lubricant on there. Help reduce any buildup of rust or corrosion in there, because when it rusts it jacks up and then it will jam your brake shoe in there. I'm not too crazy about this brush. I think I'm going to get one of my little acid brushes for this. that up, put your hardware back in there. Really don't need to lubricate that stainless steel, but I'm going to put a little dab on there anyway. Can't hurt. For brake pads, I swear by this brand, Power Stop ceramic disc brakes pads. I've had great luck with them. They have ceramic and carbon fiber if you want to go to the next level. Usually get the Z71, I think they are, but this time I didn't get it. I'm going to put my squeaker on the inside because sometimes the inside one is the one that can wear prematurely. So that little tab for when your pad gets low, it starts making noise. I'm going to go with it on the inside. If I have seen uneven wear, it's usually the inner one that goes first. Put a little bit on your pistons. Keep from squeaking and rattling. Brake shoe up against there. Put a little bit on the back of the shoe, actually. Back of the pad, I mean, not shoe. Excuse me. Don't attack me in the comments section, please. A bit on the other side of the caliper where the pads rest. And these didn't look that bad. Cleaned them up good the last time I did them. Make sure you don't twist your hose up when you put your caliper back on. Put it on the way you got it off. Oh, that had squeakers on both shoes. I'm sorry, I didn't notice that. I thought it was just one pad that had the squeaker on it. Both of them have it. All right, tighten your caliper nuts up. Manufacturer's torque spec. And you are done doing your brakes. Very important note. Keep in mind, when you are done doing your brake job, do not lower the car, get in it, start it, and try to drive away. You have to pump your brakes up first, because you will have no brakes. Okay? Pump your pedal up until it gets nice and solid. Then you're ready to use your car. Don't just go jumping in it and thinking you can take off right away, because you'll wind up driving through a wall, and that will not be a good scene for anybody. Okay? I'll probably film me doing the other side just for the hell of it, but you guys don't have to watch that. I want to thank everybody for taking the time out to view my channel. Please give a like and subscribe. Any support you give me is greatly appreciated. We just got over 200 and something viewers, subscribers, so that's a big milestone for me. It's not 10,000, but 200 is better than 1 or 2. So give a like and subscribe, guys. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, and all that other junk. All right? For those of you that are taking off, have a good day. And remember, take good care of your cars. They'll take good care of you. And you can do this yourself. Don't be going to these garages, man. They charge you too much, and they give you lousy materials. They put the cheapest pads they can get on your vehicle, and they do shoddy work, you know? They tell you they bled your brake system. They don't even do it, you know? So I'm going to button this one up and then do the other side. If it makes any difference. Who was the idiot that tightened that? Oh, it was me. I was the idiot. The hell are you doing? Too tight, man. So if any of you guys have any automotive questions, feel free to email me at paulphillipsfix@gmail.com. I am always willing to try to help somebody out. I don't know if you ever saw the video I did on why I do this channel. Explains kind of why I'm into helping people work on their cars. I went to school for auto mechanics, and first job I had, they tried to get me to rob people, and I didn't like that. I don't get down like that. I wasn't going to do that. I told the customer what the owner of the garage was trying to do. That didn't go over too well. That was it for my job at that garage. I did work in a few others, but I moved on to other fields. I've always loved working on cars, but doing it full time, not an easy living, man. You know? I got into welding and boiler repair, industrial maintenance, working on just about everything. I like that. It didn't get boring. Every day was different. I don't like too much of the same old routine. I get bored easily. I like the work environment where there was variance in what I was doing from day to day. This little tool works well, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. You just got to squeeze it to get it to ratchet. Maybe it'll loosen up as it gets a little older. It's the only con I can say about it right now. You got to put tension on it to get it to ratchet. Sure, that'll loosen up with time. I hope it doesn't get worse. If it does, I won't be using it. I'll tell you that. But it works real well with the pressing the pistons. Nice not to have to fight with these. So, I think it was for 20 bucks. I don't remember whether I got it on Amazon. I think I might have got it off AliExpress. But it's a brake caliber, ratcheting brake caliber depression tool. I think it was. Ratcheting brake caliper tool. Try looking it up under that. I've had some pistons that don't want to go in, where this would have came in real handy, so I'm sure there'll be days that I'm glad I have this. Got a couple of Mercedes, and the last Mercedes I did the brakes on kind of fought me a little bit. See, this brake shoe seized up a little bit in here. I got to check to make sure I got no corrosion going on here. This is the one where I noticed it looked like it wore a little unevenly. Seemed like the one on the piston side, I'll tell you when I get it out, but it looked like the one on the piston side might have wore down a little premature compared to the other one. Yeah, it wasn't releasing once it gets depressed, it's staying on there. Boy, it's really stuck in there. It's no good. Yeah, that side wore a little quicker than the other side. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera. This is the one that was on the piston side. It's thinner than the other one. That was definitely seizing up. I knew I was feeling a little fluctuation in my braking. I should have had smoother brakes because I have newer rotors on here. I shouldn't be getting any kind of irregularities with my braking. So we're going to clean this up, lube it up, and see if we can get that other pad to fit in there nice and smooth. No corrosion on this side. Doesn't feel like it's corroded over here either. Maybe that was just a wonky pad, huh? No, no corrosion over there. We're gonna find out. We are gonna find out. Try not to get this on your rotor. If you do, use brake clean to get it off. Don't ever cheap out and not put new hardware on when you're doing your brakes. Brake hardware is so cheap, it's kind of crazy to not replace it, you know? That would help if I put it on the right way, huh? Put a little dab on them too. Can't hurt to have a little lubricant on there. Again, we're going to do the pistons. Other side of the caliper. No one noisy brakes, right? Nobody wants noisy brakes. Put a little bit on the back of the pad. Can't hurt. seated in there. That was smart. Don't squeeze it with your hand. You get brake lubricant all over you. Let me get a rag. Need this on your rotor, get it off. Okay guys, I gotta check my pins. They're nice and free. Nice and free. And that's it. Pretty simple thing, man. Kind of crazy to go spending hundreds of dollars to some clown to do this. You can do it a little bit of time on your own. Forget to say goodbye to Honey. She's my little helper. Right, Honey? Say bye to the YouTube family. Bye-bye, YouTube family. Okay. The pad's sitting in there funny. The pad's going in there a little tight. I'm not liking that. Set it cocked a little bit. Again, torque these to manufacturer spec. I do them by feel. I'm going to proclaim that after a while you get to know about the torque range of bolts by their application and size. I don't know, I've never had anything fall off, so, and they don't usually seize up and get stuck, so I'm doing something right. But look up the torque spec and do it that way. That's it, guys. That's a brake job and a system flush. No big deal. I screwed around, did not rush doing this, and I'm done in about an hour and a half with everything. So give that a lift. Again, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a lot, and tune in. Hopefully I have another video out soon. The weather is on my side now. I got transmission lines I'm probably going to throw in on this Impala. I have motor mounts for for that 2002 Mercedes E320. I got to do a brake line flush on that. I got to check my brakes. I believe all the pads are good on that. What else do I have to do? I have to do brake lines on that 2002 Chevy Silverado. That's going to be a nightmare to film. I don't even know if I'm going to bother with that. I got to find an air conditioner leak. I believe the compressor is bad on the silver 2001 E430 Mercedes. I want to do a brake flush on that as well. I just threw rotors on that. I did a video on that. What else do I have to do on that car? Oh, a timing chain tensioner. That's what I've got to do on that car. So, I've got some things to do. I just got to get my fat ass to do them. Okay, guys, you take care. Enjoy your cars, man. Take good care of them. They'll take good care of you. Bye-bye.